Nigeria Info.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. You're welcome to the Daily Digest with Jimi Disu, and it's brought to you by MTN. Of course, Daily Digest is a magazine program, what we call a magazine program, which means that virtually anything goes. So today is Thursday. It's one of our serious days. Yesterday we had a hilarious experience with the crew of Diabomi. And Grandma, in case you're listening, good morning, Grandma. Right, our lines will be open 0700 993 993 993. And the female line let me do small Ojoro here, for those with squeaky voices who can pass for a female, but the female line is 01465 7190. Okay? So we'll be taking. Now, what are we talking about today? I've always been a bit worried, about the media handling, both at the state and federal level, and I'd been an advocate that the position of those who handle stuff like that should be highly professionalized, because it's a very, 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 very important and key element in governance, information dissemination, and image handling. Because you see, a large part of governance has to do with perception. The people have to perceive. They have to think that whoever is leading them is capable, has their interests at heart, and knows what exactly he's doing. So I then said to myself, I'd better bring in somebody to talk about it. So this gentleman's name came up, Tony Khan. Now, Tony Khan, I'd always thought until recently, which is your surname? Is it Khan or Onwodi?
Onwodi.
But everybody knows yours.
Yes, that's my pen name. I've used it
Okay,
you've
did it
17 or so.
I'm sure Khan is short for Kanayo.
Kanayo, yeah.
I guess right.
Yeah.
I'm a smart guy, don't you think?
Yeah, you are.
Morning.
Thank you.
Now,
sir.
Tony Khan is an astute PR consultant, and I think he might be able to give us an answer to this problem that we have at hand. Now, are you happy at state and federal level about the way information dissemination and media handling? Are you happy about the way it's being handled?
It's hard to just come on radio and say, "Oh, they're doing a bad job."
They're doing a good job.
Garba Shehu is an elderly colleague. Fermentation was my former editor. Chulegun Desi was my former staff. So I can't just come on air.
No, I mean, take the names out.
No, but I'm trying to.
Yes.
Lead up to it. So I can't just say they're doing a bad job. But what we need to do is find a way to structure communication in governance. I think that is what we lack. And if you look at it, when you send this invite, I had to check all their handles. So if you just give me a minute, let me just look at what they have on their Twitter pages. So you have Chulegun Desi, he's special assistant to the president on digital and new media. It says communications, public policy, digital. Tweets are personal. Then you have
Tweets are what?
Tweets personal. So he
He
tweets from this handle as the senior assistant to the president on digital and new media, but they are personal.
But that's a contradiction.
Yeah. So you have for Bashir Ahmad, senior assistant to the president on new media, so he doesn't have digital. Tweets are mine unless otherwise stated.
It's a contradiction again.
You have for Garba Shehu, he says he's official spokesman to the president of the federation. Then Femi Adesina says he's special advisor on media and publicity to the president. So you have 4 people who are supposed to handle communications and PR for the president, and 2 of them have said their tweets in this capacity are personal. So first thing I would do if I had an opportunity to talk to people doing this is get a Twitter handle that says presidential spokesperson. Okay, so that whether it's Femi talking or Garba talking, we know it's official.
So we should have one Twitter handle.
Yes, one Twitter handle. Because if you look at America, for instance, because everything we do in Nigeria, we brought from America, you have the chief press secretary, whose job is to deal with the press and the media as it were. Then you have the communications director, whose job is on the level of strategy and speech writing and, communications and stuff. So these two people work, usually the commissioner director reports to the chief press secretary. They work together, right? So there's no issue of who is issuing what. When I spoke to, I think in Abuja, I was speaking to Garba Shehu, and he was explaining to me how it works, that Monday to Wednesday, one person handles communications. Then Thursday to Sunday, somebody else has communications. And then if there's an announcement for a congratulatory message or obituary, Femi will handle it. This is what I mean. This is officially from the office. So this is how it's structured.
But that does it sound right to you?
Yeah. So I said to you, I'm not going to say they're not doing well. I'm saying they need some kind of structure.
No, well, I wish you didn't even mention their names. I wish you just,
well,
because I don't want it to be. I want us to handle this from a very professional standpoint and not be sentimental.
But they're the ones handling these offices. So if we're going to speak about it in,
it's a manner of speaking.
Yeah.
So
if I'm taking from the top, and this also percolates down to the states. Okay.
Don't you think that the two functions conflict? I've never heard of this kind of arrangement where somebody does Monday to Wednesday.
So that was why I asked the question. So how does it even work? How do you guys do this?
But that's odd, isn't it?
But they found a way to make it work. So they found a way to make it work. But what I'm saying is that I think there's a problem where the person who speaks for the presidency is saying that his tweets are personal, right? And right there you're saying I work for the president. So you know what I'm saying? So I think the first person that had this office that Tulu is in now was Obiasika. And he never tweeted with his name. He was tweeting from the office of digital.
Yeah, you should have a Twitter handle that doesn't have
mean
the
that
name.
everything you do there. The chief press secretary in America, when he or she tweets, the onus falls on her or him. It's not on the president. She's speaking for president, but she's saying these are my own, comments regarding the presidency. The president can say tomorrow, I did not send her, and it's done. But it's agreed that she's speaking on behalf of the president, but in her capacity as chief press secretary. What do we have here? So the Garba Shehu says he's a spokesperson for the president. Then Femi Adesina says he's the special advisor on media. So who is the spokesperson to the president of Nigeria?
Who is the overall boss amongst them?
Well, I think that in terms of the ranking, special advisor is higher than senior special assistant, I think. I hope I'm right.
So if that were the case,
but then Garba Shehu was already an editor before Femi was.
No, take that. Look, so the background is there's Tony. The background to a job has not. This is a new job, and we would have expected that whether one was editor before is neither here nor there, because that's personal to the two of them. But we would have thought that there would be a structure that you fit into, such that if tomorrow any one of them leaves, the next person still takes up that Twitter handle. It's because it is an official Twitter handle.
Yes.
Now, before we even go that far, what do you think are the prerequisites? What kind of structure would you advocate? And what do you think would be the prerequisites for the positions that you'll be thinking of? So, without having to mention names, let us know what structure would you have?
So, I'll also go back to the American system where you have the director of communications.
Yes.
And then the chief press secretary. Okay? So...
sorry, who reports to who now?
The director of communications reports to the chief press secretary in America.
Okay.
So, if you had that conversation, so one person handles this, then you define what they do, right? This person handles the media directly. This person handles everything that has to do with communications. So the president's speeches, the president's interventions and stuff, right? So then you have those whose job is to not just to tweet on social media, but to engage. Because people think that social media means just to put out something. The work in social media is the interaction.
And intent.
Yeah. So when you tweet something and there's a fallout from that tweet, somebody has to be there
to follow it up.
This is how is fixed. So running a government is a crisis situation 24/7.
Yes.
So you have to have crisis managers waiting in the wings at all times. So that is what it is. I don't know how they can change this, but I think that we should have a structure where it's defined so that when somebody, because if you have an official handle of the spokesperson, official handle of the comms director, then we know that even if the substantive head is in Paris, right, and the time zone is in Atlanta, and the time zone is 8 hours from Nigeria, right? And there's a tweet coming out at 8 o'clock in the morning. We know it's not him doing it, right? We know
Yeah.
there's somebody in his office. You understand? And also, it's because this is for posterity, right? As a PR person, there's something they call plausible deniability, right? Somebody can actually use that handle, hack into the handle and tweet and say, this is it. There was something that happened last year where there was a press release that came out saying that the NDDC board had been dissolved. It went all over the country. And when I got that, I told my editor at This Is Lagos, I said, this doesn't look like the press release from Aso Rock. It looked kind of different. So I said, don't use it. About 4 hours later, Federation came and said, oh, it was actually not from them and stuff. But you see, I'm not sure if you've seen a press release from Aso Rock before. That sort of press release is just there. Just a press release. There's nothing there. There's no what's it called? No letterhead, nothing. Just, from the office, And I think it should be better than that. It should be something that somebody cannot just easily clone.
I was invited for something there.
Yeah.
And I rejected going based on the letter sent to me.
Thank you. So
There's obviously a problem there, but before that's why I don't want to go open up all kinds of things. Who is responsible for the president's image?
Right now, they're not doing image; they're just doing communication.
But it is vital. I'm sure you know that's your area.
Yes. So now, let me also go back to America. In America, the chief press secretary, traditionally, the first person was Early, who worked for Roosevelt. He's traditionally from the media. He's a media person, the chief press secretary, because he knows editors, he can deal with them and stuff. But the communication director is usually from a PR, corporate communication background. Understand? So the press person, because see, I can tell you, so many editors, so many journalists write from journalism, from reporters to editor, and they've not written a press release in their life.
Yes.
Never. They see it, but they don't write it.
They're not even inclined to
Thank you.
be bothered
Then
about
you
something.
put him in an office where a press release is par for the course. You understand? He's never done it all his life. Now he has to write a press release almost 5 a day. How will he function? Except he gets somebody who's from a PR background.
Man, was that? I believe that somebody from a PR because don't forget, part of their job also is to advise the president. Yeah. And I believe that it is imperative that I think the way from Roosevelt to now has been a long time, and things have changed.
34 now.
I believe that whoever heads that unit should rather have a PR background.
Okay, so
because you need somebody who is trained in strategic thinking.
Yes.
Luckily, you and I have been to the newsroom before, so it's not as if we don't think, but the focus is different. But you need somebody who can put forward a strategy, and strategic thinking, and who would then be able to say that this is the way I think we need to present this thing. Then the man who knows all the editors and whatever can get on with the job.
That's the media relations.
Yes, he can get on with that. That is what, and that is where the same also applies to Lagos now. The handling of the governorship position in Lagos as far as is dismal. And this was even now confirmed last week during Jakonde's tributes and so on and so forth, when the former deputy governor said that governance is on the pages of newspapers, meaning that there's so much hyping, quote and unquote, that you can't even now determine what is true. I'll give you an example that's going to make you jump off your seat. The governor, only God knows where he was going, he stopped to buy barley, roasted plantain, which is really no big deal. Somebody takes a photograph of that and sends that picture to the media. Doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Those tactics are
it's taken from the Fire Ship playbook.
From Fire Ship playbook, and it doesn't do. In fact, what it does is, if you are not careful over time, you're building a feeling of megalomania, on the poor guy. This is one of the problems that his predecessor had, hyping everything. We're going to build this, it's going to be like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, when in reality, most of these things should have been keep it simple, So that is why I think that it is. I would rather have somebody with a very strong PR and strategic thinking background to head that unit And then you can have a very, very senior person. From what you have said now, we don't have a boss in that department. We have two bosses.
To handle the image of the president and communication, so you have to have a public relations person.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have a communications person.
Yes.
Then you have to have a media relations
God
person.
bless you.
But what they have, basically, most people have, is just a media relations person. So there's nobody who is doing strategic communication and public relations.
Yes.
You know, so and in case somebody's wondering what I'm saying, so if you say Jakonde has died, for instance, right? Who will write the eulogy? Most times the media relations person doesn't know what to do. He is ready to make sure that it comes out in all the papers in Nigeria. That is his bit, right? So the communication person will be the person who will research what made Jakonde who he was. What are the similarities between Jakonde and Sanwo-Olu? How can we show that Sanwo-Olu is actually a disciple of Jakonde, that he's following his footsteps? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is now research. This is strategic thinking.
Yes.
Then you prepare the document. Then the PR person looks and say, okay, oh, listen, if you say Sanwo-Olu is a disciple of Jakonde, how about XYZ? Who brought him to power? How does that affect...
Who is XYZ?
No, I'm just giving an example. How do you...
I wanted to throw you. He fell straight.
No. I'm very smart about that. I'm smart about that. So how do you make sure that there's no effect from this, communication? So, you can see somebody is thinking about writing the piece. Somebody thinking about what it means when it comes out. Somebody thinking about it goes as far as possible.
I think what I find missing federal and state level is that thinking person. Because some of the things, one time, I think it was Gabashi who said that, so we found rats in the president's office. I found that quite embarrassing. And they said quite a few embarrassing things. What disturbs me is this current whatever that they have that you mentioned. And is it possible to change things around? I think what has also happened is that these positions have been highly politicized. Okay, it's been highly, because it looks as if the two gentlemen are at par. And I wonder who is the boss of who. And like they say out there on the streets, you can't have two captains in one boat. You'll end up with confusion.
Well, but on a personal level, they've said that they make it work. There's no friction. But so in terms of that, I would say that's not the problem. The problem basically is, do they have enough capacity between them to handle these three elements? So the communication part, the PR part, and the media relations part. That is where the issue is. So
how can it be tweaked?
Is to, like I said, is to find a structure that works.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter who is spokesperson, who is what, but let them define their. So I went to work somewhere for a client, and I asked for a meeting of the people in commerce department, and I called the most senior person. I said to her, if you went for an event, who would take the pictures? She said, anybody can take the pictures. Then none of them. I said, okay, if you went for an event, I want you to write a press release. Who would do the press release? Say, anybody can write a press release. I said, okay. If you went for an event, I want you to do a feature story. Who would do this? Anybody can do it. I said, madam, listen, what I'm trying to say is this. What are their strengths?
And what are their weaknesses?
Thank you. I worked with somebody you don't want me to mention them, but Tolu and I worked together. I brought him to work with me at Visa Fund from Accenture. Tolu is a fantastic writer.
You're telling me?
Fantastic writer. So, but he's been reduced to tweeting.
Yes.
So I don't know what else he does, but you have to play to people's strengths. Gabashi was chairman of Guild of Editors. He knows everybody. He can call them one-on-one and say, see what we want done. He can do that. Federation was the editor at The Sun. He knows people from Concord. So he knows people. So you see, they have their strengths. But are they playing to those strengths? Here in Lagos State, Akosile is here. He knows people. There's Femi who has a PhD. What are they doing, in terms of strategic communication, dissemination and stuff? So it's just that everybody just sitting in the office, they have a title, but are they working to help their principal be projected in the best way and perceived in the best way possible? So if we're having a conversation, that means people are saying there's something wrong. You know what I'm saying? So, because, like you said, everything is politicized. So why you say, oh, he's ABGA. He's not PDP. He's not APC. Understand? But the fact is that I'm a professional. You know, you have to figure out. Yeah.
Oh, okay, I got a bill.
Okay.
We're going to take a short break, right? We'll take a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation with Tony, and then we'll take your phone calls. When you do call in, you know the rules. We'll be right back.
My name is Data Lover Joe Mapel.
MTN Pulse. Do you? Dial *406# to join. Everywhere you go, MTN.
Hello, this is a public service announcement to our dear customers that don't have NIN or are yet to link their NIN to their MTN lines. As mandated by the NCC, MTN will be linking your National Identification Number (NIN) to the same registration information you have already provided to make the process easy for you. Here are 2 simple ways to get it done. Log on to my MTN app or dial *785*NIN#. If you don't have a NIN, visit www.nimc.gov.ng to find an enrollment center near you. If you have registered but can't remember your NIN, dial *346# with the phone number you registered at enrollment. Please remember, apart from your primary line, you must also link your NIN to all your MTN lines and data SIMs such as MiFi, HiNetflix, and any other line you use on the MTN network. This announcement is very important. To avoid disconnection, all lines must be linked before 6th April 2021.
You're listening to Jimi Disu right here on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Yeah, you're back to the Daily Digest with Jimi Disu, brought to you by MTN, and I still have with me Tony Khan. And I know this our discussion has probably sounded a bit more professional and entertaining, but if you listen carefully, there's a lot of content to be picked from here. So, Tony, essentially what we are saying, in fact, what you do see, without wanting to raise a storm, is a lack of structure in government, proper structure, because I believe this structure should be there irrespective of who the president is. So you just key into it. And I think very strongly that going forward, Nigeria needs what I will call a modern and contemporary leader, so that we can run things the way. You see, the world has moved beyond personalities. It now deals with structures. I remember the first time I came across what was called a greenfield exercise. It's an exercise that takes all the names out of the functions and looks at the functions and juggles things around. It might be a bit too late now, because to restructure that, and this is just about 2 more years to go, it might. And I don't know if Gambari has said, because the onus is going to fall on him. But if he has to do what he has to do, some people have to go. So we might not want to go down that path. But going forward, we hope that these structures will be put in place properly. Do we have any callers here? I think I have one. Hello, morning. Morning.
Hello, good morning, Uncle Jimmy.
Morning, sir.
Good morning to you, to the car. My name is Drew Jai of Motosho.
Good morning.
Morning.
The same Drew Jai with Mr. Tony Khan.
Okay, well done.
Cheney's younger brother.
Oh, Hannah, how are you?
I'm
How's
fine,
mommy?
and you?
Well done.
Hey, mommy's doing fine.
Okay.
Uncle Jimmy,
Yeah.
I want to digress a little bit, because on Olowo Street now, the police from area, the rate at which they are attacking the bike men is getting out of hand. Yesterday, a very serious accident occurred where they were trying to hold this Okada man. He was as well trying to escape. He now ran into one lady coming back from the child school or not. Only God knows if that child will survive it. They should.
Please, when you do call in, let us take cognizance that we have what we are discussing. And I don't think it is fair for you to take up time when we have an issue at hand. I sympathize with you, in all honesty, but we also have a job to do here. We don't want to lose track, and we don't want to lose our concentration. So please keep the whatever to the subject. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Uncle Jimmy.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Madam Altini.
Yes, ma'am.
I have met you before in Kaduna in the 80s. Anyway,
Really?
I want to talk. Yes, in the 80s.
Wow.
At Street Fair.
Wow.
And I've been listening to your program. Oh, it's just that now that we have a women's line, so it's easy for us.
It's easy for you to, yes.
Yes, yes. Now, I want to take off your guest from there. When the first statement he made is that it's not good for him to come there and start condemning the jobs of the president or breast secretaries of presidents or governors. No, I take exception to that. How can you say that? Reason why we have a lot of them, when they get there, they'll be doing fine when they are out, when they are not in government. But when they get there, they don't do well. You find them just wanting to please their masters. When something is white, they will tell you, no, it's red. Or when the president, why should you say so? Please, let's say it the way it is. That is why this country is going the way it is. You come to a program and you say you cannot sit down, you cannot talk because they are your colleagues. What can happen like that now? Why?
No vex.
Why
no
should
vex.
you say that?
No vex. He didn't mean any harm. You misunderstood him. Tony, that now brings me to a question. A tricky one, though. I don't think people understand the function of that job. And let me explain what I mean. Okay, I'm sorry I have to go personal, but just you have a Reuben Abati who's been known to be very critical in his write-ups and so on and so forth. I'm surprised that people expect him to still be the same radical person he was when he takes up this job. I don't think people understand that when you say, for example, you are the spokesperson of the president, it means that you are speaking on behalf. You're not speaking, you lose your own identity. Okay? So, and that is why Madam who just called said something like, before they were critical. The truth is this. I think that journalists have to make up their mind and have to be very clear that when you take these kind of jobs, you have crossed a divide. Because you cannot be objective. You can't. You cannot.
So let me just answer this for you.
Yes.
Most times when Yabashi will say something or Femi Adesina will say something, somebody will bring out an edition of The Sun from 10 years ago.
10 years ago, yes.
And say,
They did that in the case of...
now, if
Gambari.
that tweet had come from office of the spokesperson, you don't know whether it's Femi who's tweeting or whether it's Gaba who's tweeting. That is one thing that you never find anymore. You cannot refer to say, when you were there, I did this. I talk about plausible deniability. Now you have two people in an office and you keep saying, 4 years ago you said this, now you're in government, you're saying this. Because they know you are the one saying this thing. If you're tweeting from the handle of the office you occupy, that problem is solved.
So let me get what you're saying right. If we were to go by what you said, what you suggested, which is right, have a Twitter handle for the office
of the spokesperson.
Yeah.
Twitter handle.
So the issue of you personalizing things is not there.
Is this you talk about this cult of the personality? We want to show that I work for the presidency. Why didn't you do that? It is to put your principal in good light, for him to be perceived well, to show up his reputational capital.
But the strategy that I get is they're usually on the defensive. They think it's to shield him and defend him.
I said to you, being in government, you are in crisis mode 24/7.
Yeah.
And you need a crisis manager. And I said to you, the work of the president's spokesperson is not to speak or to tweet. It is to interact, to engage when you've made a statement. Right? When the president has said something, you now have to wait for the backlash that comes. Let me tell you, if tomorrow Buhari comes and says the sky is blue, they will say it's not. This man, you want to kill us. Since you came in, the sky has been black. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be ready at every point in time with strategic responses and engagement for whatever happens.
You know that there's this culture of hiring influencers. And what I get from
I call them influencers.
influencers.
Yeah.
Why? Because
They're just a disease.
really,
Yeah. I mean, what do they do, basically? What do? They have no training in communication. They have no training
yes,
in PR.
yes,
Because they have followers, which they bought mostly.
yeah, you can
And,
buy
they,
them.
and they
Yes,
put them there. And I mean, they can't even think for themselves. You know, whatever they put out, you have to give it to them. They're a disease.
And what you also find is that they indulge more in abuse
They have nothing to
than
say.
engagement.
Once the message you get them is out, they have to start insulting you.
Yes.
You know, so yeah, they're a disease to this country. They're a disease to social media. They are.
Why, if you really do, I don't think there's anything there's so much wrong with hiring people who are so-called influencers, but shouldn't you have a minimal intellect?
Now, so it comes back to structure and competence. Now, when I have a company, a PR company, and we do work for people in different industries. When we do work that requires influencers, we provide the content that they put out. So we're leveraging on the platform they already have.
I see.
But in my experience, 99% of them don't have the competence to write a proper sentence. I'm on radio, I'm saying it now.
Yes.
The people they call influencers, they have no, and it's worse with those who are political influencers because they only know one language, to insult people.
Some people, yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's take another call. It's because I don't want Sheriff to get up. Hello, morning.
Good morning, Uncle Jimmy.
Morning.
Uncle Jimmy.
Is this a female line? Oh, sorry, Pastor.
This is Pastor Ladipo.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure.
Calling from Berile Gomu. Uncle Jimmy, you are trying to throw me under the table.
I'm not trying
You are me to be using that line.
No, I
I will not do it.
No, you can use it. You're an exception.
No, I will not do it.
Okay.
Let me quickly go to the issue. Uncle Jimmy, I want to appreciate your guest, but I want to ask a question. What about information minister? Because there was a time in this country we have the best of the best hand in our information ministry. Now, sir, if you look at what is happening with this government now, it's landed with a lot of incompetence and people who are not qualified to occupy a certain position. Just imagine what the Minister of Defense said. So if it has come from someone else, they will say it's insightful. The person inciting the people to pick up arms. So, sir, please, can you say something about the information ministry and the minister? Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Well, before you say something, let's put it in context. I believe, like, I have a very good friend. We worked together in the point back in the day, Komi Ademilui. And he believes that we shouldn't be having a minister for information. What you should be having is a director of communications who controls all information coming, both government presidency. You have one director. Okay, and then you can get some other person to run the ministry, because you can, Ministry of Culture or whatever it is. The Minister of Information speaks for the government. These other people handle the presidency. Is that right? Is there a conflict?
So if I asked you now to just go back a bit and tell me, Minister of Information, you remember. I'm sure you remember Jerry Ghana.
Yes, I remember Jerry Ghana. I remember, well, I'm sorry to say, I remember more of the military guys.
Agoro, yeah.
Agoro, yes.
The fine, what's his name?
Emeka Meroa, yes.
Yeah.
And
Akinyele.
No, there's one that I remember. Wiki.
Junior.
Frank
Wiki
Jr.
So,
brilliant guy.
So you see, you can see those who did their jobs. And, we remember them. I mean, I was a kid when Agoro was Minister of Information. I was a kid when Akinyele was Minister of Information. Akinyele had done PR for the customs.
Yes.
So he came with experience. Agoro was a lecturer.
He was my lecturer.
Good. So
he failed me though.
When you put the right people on the job, right, they will deliver. Now, let me tell you something. What will it cost the government to say every year, pick one PR company in Nigeria. Ask them to pitch, then pick one to represent the government that year. Right? Next year, you don't have that pitch again. Companies do it all the time.
Yes.
Right? So that you have a professional PR person providing counsel
And support.
You understand? So you can do your party thing, but somebody will tell you that, okay, if you put this in now, this will happen. Because this is what we've done it for so many people. I mean, I've done PR for oil and gas, I've done for energy, I've done for consulting, I've done for pharmaceuticals. So I have seen many, I can anticipate scenarios and crisis scenarios. But somebody who has just worked only for newspapers, he thinks as a newspaper man.
Yes.
So my point is this: we need to rearrange the structure. I don't think that Foundation is not qualified to be there, or Garage, they're qualified to be there. But are they where they should be? Are they doing what they should be doing, where their strengths will come out well? Okay? I mean, before somebody like Olusegun became, spokesman for the government, he was one of the biggest deal on Twitter.
Yes.
Right now, he's just, one of the people there on Twitter.
And then I'm surprised. It didn't even occur to me until you mentioned it that he'd have a Twitter handle and then say it's personal.
It's there. It's there. I didn't make it up. It's there. So how are you?
Let me ask you. Sorry, before it runs away from my head. These days I tend to forget.
It's aging. Happens to everybody.
Yeah, it happens to everybody. The statement of the Minister of Defense.
Everybody themselves.
I found it frightening. The implications are far and wide, and I'm surprised. Well, I don't know how it works. They have a PR department, and I'm wondering why they didn't brief him properly before he made that statement.
Yeah. So, one thing again you have to understand, like I said to you, there's using the U.S. system, somebody writes the speeches for the president. I remember when Yar'Adua was coming in, they had to get Delodede to write the speech for him. He wasn't part of the government. He just said, "Oh, you can give us a speech that captures what we're trying to do." I think Fayemi wrote for Buhari's first term. So when you get people who understand the issues at hand and who can coin the words that will make it happen. So just watch. By evening today, they will say he was misquoted. Just watch. We have in Nigeria we have recourse to two things: either it didn't happen or it was misquoted. But it was a town hall meeting. I think he called for,
yes.
and so how much can you misquote it? But it's happened. But these speeches have to be written. Someone has to vet them. You might have all the statistics, all the figures that the government people will give you, but how it comes out and what the fallout will be from when you put this out in the public space is what the person who's a communicator or a PR person will anticipate and help you avoid.
But what do you think he meant by that statement?
I'm a small boy. I have no idea.
Okay. When you read the statement, came across the statement, what occurred to you?
First of all, when he
said there
were going to be a town hall meeting, people said no. Why are you making a town hall meeting for? The Minister of Defense, try and sort this out, internally with your security people. And if somebody had listened, then this would not have happened. People have. Last week, Governor Otom said, "Allow us to bear arms, so that when you confront me with your arm, I come out and then we decide who will run." Is that what he's not saying now? Is that the government position?
Because that's what I raised this morning. Also,
so these are the issues.
It also cuts the image of a bit of frustration to say that, look, we've done our bit, you guys, we can't handle it.
Yourself.
And that's not good for the polity, is it?
So,
at a time, you see, what he said now falls in line with the thinking of the likes of Igboho.
Yes, and Atom.
And Atom.
Yeah,
I think he should have been a bit more careful.
So we're going back to the vigilante option. If they come for me, I come for you.
I come for you.
And that's not how a country, should function.
But generally, across the board, I think information, surprisingly, has been treated with a bit of levity. I don't think people actually appreciate that in governance, information is probably the most difficult and most important element to handle.
There was an article that somebody wrote in The Guardian years ago when I was handling communications at Visaphone or at Zenith Bank. And it said corporate affairs managers, errand boys of companies. And I thought, he came from a place of lack of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there is no moment in history when communication experts are needed as they are needed now.
Yes.
In the age of social media.
Yes.
Because people
and turmoil
are messing up by the day.
Yes.
I mean, if you know the amount of cleanup we had to do during the lockdown when nobody was going out, people were still committing, horrible errors online because, they are suddenly at home, bored, and just sending out things. And these are self-inflicted injuries. This is a self-inflicted injury from the Minister of Defense.
Yes.
You understand? That means he didn't consult with his team before he went on this thing. He didn't say this is what we're going to do. What is there in saying, let the people talk? I've heard your grievances. We'll now use that to come up with a strategy to help.
And you just leave the
and
stage.
You leave the place. But you have to something. And now what you said is completely against the thinking of the government in which you serve, but also completely aligned to the people you say are troublemakers.
Yes. Isn't that an irony?
So let's wait. We'll see that. Either they say he did not say.
What did you call it? You called it self-inflicted injury.
Yeah.
Well, let me excite Shegun Agbede because I'm sure he's listening. This is what you call an own goal.
Yes. Own goal, yeah.
An own goal. You put the ball in front of the post as a keeper and throw it. I'll pick a call, please. Hello. Good morning. Hello. Morning.
Hello. Good morning.
Morning, ma. Who's calling?
This is Itohan. I have been following your show and I've been trying to get in. Thanks for picking our call finally.
Yes.
Okay, concerning this PRO discussion is something that has actually been on the top of my mind for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have someone like Femi Adesina, who we all know that is not an illiterate, is well-learned and everything, and of course he's coming from the journalism industry and all that. But we have to see a lot of cleanups being done just because there's no proper structure. So this topic is actually very important, and I think the government should, I hope they were listening today so that they'll come up with a proper structure. How can you say you have your personal account when you are representing the presidency? Today we see captions from the media, and here we see after the hyphen, you see presidency. Tomorrow or 30 minutes later, someone comes and say, oh, I was speaking based on my personal opinion. But you are representing the government. Yes. Now, the Minister of Defense, is he going to say he was speaking based on his own personal opinion? When the whole nation is boiling at the moment, you make some kind of flippant comments and you just believe that Nigerians will take it, and 2 seconds later, you come and start doing damage control. I believe the government is doing too much damage control. We should be mindful of what we say, and there should really be a structure.
Thank you. I think that to be fair to the Minister of Defense, Tony, to be fair to the Minister of Defense, I think he spoke more from his heart than from his mind. I think I honestly do get a sense of being overwhelmed. That's my interpretation of what he said. Do you agree?
Well, I'm sorry. If you have an office and you're overwhelmed, then you leave the office.
He just got appointed.
I don't see how the man who would act to defend the nation is overwhelmed after just being appointed. I mean, I don't think. Imagine if you were appointed spokesperson of Nigeria Info and you say, "Oh, there are too many calls. I can't handle these calls. Too many requests." Then you're not up to the job. So what I really think is that these things that government officials say should be vetted by somebody who has some PR experience, who can anticipate fallouts from poorly presented arguments or facts or speeches.
Put it this way, and correct me if I'm wrong. I might jolly well be wrong. If we were to set up a structure for the government, I'd be setting up what I would call a communications directorate, headed by a director of communications, not a minister. And he would have the responsibility over 6 months to train. Of course, there'll be a prerequisite entry level, but to train people in this function, and then, like the Minister of Defense, you post somebody to him. But you see, part of the problem also, you made a comment that somebody said that they are errand boys. The attitude of some principals to their communications spokesperson or whatever is also it also needs some prodding, because some of them, like that guy rightly said, just see them as take release to the newspaper and sort it out. Make sure this thing doesn't come out in the papers and so on and so forth.
When I did my public relations, public affairs course at LBS, they defined corporate communications as a management support function. Right? It's actually, you should be in management because you should know when the idea of something is being mooted. You should know when it's being strategized, when it's being implemented. So you can report it well and defend it in public. You cannot give me a document and they ask me to go and do a press release and they ask me to go and sit and talk about it on NTA. I'm going to goof at some point because I'm not there from ideation to implementation. But when you are part of it, then you can talk about it well. So when you have a communications team who only come in at the end of the day, then there's bound to be problems. You know, so did he speak from a prepared note? If he did, then somebody has to be fired. But if he did not, then you see the issue. Somebody should be there.
If he did, somebody should be fired.
Yes.
If he did not, who should be fired?
Well, if you ask me, now who I go ask?
Second time you don't go that.
I told you I'm a PR man.
Okay,
so,
Tony, I'll let you off on that. And thank you very much for coming, Tony Khan. It's been the Daily Digest with Jimi Disu. We've had Tony Khan. Unfortunately, we've just scratched the surface of the subject. But with the little that we have done, we hope we will set those in authority thinking. What I do know is that politics itself makes this extremely difficult. Some of them are saddled with people that they probably didn't even want to choose in the first instance, which is part of the problem I suspect in Lagos. My suspicion in Lagos is that you're having some of these problems because some of these commissioners and special advisors probably see themselves senior to the governor. But that's Lagos politics for you. Don't let me worry you with that one. Now we know. Thank you very much, Tony Khan. It's been nice having you.
Thank you.
And that's where we're going to end it all today. Tomorrow, we are going to take a very critical look at that video. What's his name? Pastor Suleiman. We're going to take a look at that video and we'll be making one or two calls to certain persons to give their comments on it. So get your comments ready because our lines will be open tomorrow, both male and female, Twitter, everything. We are going to take a critical look and from there dovetail into how you should relate with your pastor, really. What is it? Who should a pastor be? What is he? What do you expect of him? And so on and so forth. So we'll be doing that. Collins, thank you very much for being here. Philip, thank you very much. One more time, Tony Khan. Thanks. It's been a nice experience. And on Saturday, we are going to, the discourse is 8 o'clock on Saturday. It's 8 o'clock. We're going to examine Karia Ahmed's message to the media. We'll be taking a very critical look and we'll be talking to Kadaria herself to expand the message. So, you have something very exciting to look forward to. I'll see you tomorrow at 9.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.